So yeah, so we could go on to thinking about, setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable. Like you
Hmm.
said, particularly if you're used to putting other people first. You want people to, it's coming from a really good place. You want people to be happy, and you don't want to be the source of their upset, but you
Yeah.
know that you have. So it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It just means that you're doing something new. You're
Yeah.
trying to change something. You're trying to change a pattern that you've had all of your life
Hmm.
to do
Yeah.
something new. And that we know that doesn't work fast. It's a slow practice. It's like if you were learning the guitar,
Yeah.
you might learn one chord, and one chord might be all you can do for a while, and then you
That
go
is
up
what
to
that
two
is how it
chords.
feels. Yeah. It
You, you,
feels like
you
it's a new language.
Yeah, it's small steps, and not expecting you to go from being a people um pleaser, somebody that wants to make people happy so that you don't feel the pain of being the
Mm.
source of upset.
Yeah.
From a nervous system. So it's small steps. It's small steps,
Mhm.
but setting boundaries is not about being harsh. It's not about being the baddie, the
Yeah.
source of something, because it's a mutual thing, really. It's you're coming from a place of, um, why do you want to enforce a boundary? If that's the case, and it's usually safety. It's
Yeah.
usually to be, related to some kind of a safety aspect, or something that you feel in your heart and soul is the right thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so it's not about being harsh. It's about being kind but
Yeah.
clear and consistent. So the consistency
Yeah.
is really important.
Yeah.
Um, and you could think of, so from a small steps. Um,
Hmm.
I've got some phrases. I'm going to send you a little handout at the end, and I'll put it on the website as a free thing. But
Oh,
some
brilliant.
simple phrases, and if I read some out, and you can see if any of them resonate with you, and you may be able to think of
Yeah.
one you could use,
Hmm.
just one phrase at a time, and maybe
Yeah.
pick a time to use it in the day that feels okay for you.
Hmm.
So it could be, that doesn't work for me,
Yes. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
a boundary is, sometimes we feel like a boundary is something we put on someone else.
Mm. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's a,
Yeah.
it's something that so it doesn't work for me, is actually saying, my feelings, my values, and my beliefs are really important to me.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
They're really important to me. It's not about manipulating anybody else. We can't
Mm.
control anybody else. So what
Mm.
what we're doing when we're putting a boundary in place is we're saying, this doesn't work for me, as
Yeah.
it doesn't align with my values. It doesn't align with the way I want to present myself in the world,
Hmm.
and for others to accept me. So it's almost like the boundary is, I don't work for that. And actually, if you think about it from an empowerment perspective,
Mm.
the reminder could be, I'm allowed to choose what works for me.
I love that. Yeah. I
Do you
really
know,
like that.
I'm important. My
Yeah.
thoughts, my feelings, my values are important, and they're as
Yeah.
important as yours. But these are mine, and I'm letting you know what they are. This is what's
Yeah.
important to me. So that doesn't work for me. You can use when something feels just quite not right and
Yeah.
aligned with your way of being.
Yeah.
Another one you could use is, I'm not comfortable with that.
Hmm.
That's when something doesn't feel okay, but you can't fully explain why. It's
Yeah.
related to your feelings. Like the reminder of that could be, I can trust my feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't feel comfortable for me. And
Yeah.
again, the boundary is not controlling what somebody else is doing. It's saying, actually, I'm not really that comfortable with that. You
So is
know,
it, hmm. So for example, could it be, say, we are having breakfast family member comes in, this has happened a few times, with biscuits as my child is eating his food that I'm comfortable with him having. And they offer him the biscuit or the sweetie thing that I'm not happy, well, I'm not comfortable with him having at that point. That's where I would use that boundary.
Yeah, but to be honest, I think that situation is it depends on who the family member is, because
Right.
so if it's their father, for example,
Mm.
I'm not sure that's the right point to discuss what kind of food that your child should be eating, because it's in the moment. That's
Yeah.
more something that that you would agree on at a
Okay.
particular point, because I think with parents, you and another parent, that has to be a joint decision on
Yeah.
on what you have. And if it's done in the moment, the child is
Mm.
there. The
Mm.
child can see the disagreement. The child
Yeah.
knows both of you are not on the same page here.
Yes. Yeah. I
And
think that's
so,
I think that's what I'm doing quite often. In with the example I gave you, that is what's playing out, and Noah can see that.
yeah, I can see you're not on the same
Um,
page. It's so what does he
yeah,
do?
yeah,
That's a
yeah.
I can have this, and I can, one doesn't want me to, one, that's we can play both, but that's how you get to play both
Mhm.
parents off each other.
Yes, yeah.
And so that I would think would be better to be a discussion had when he's not there, when he's gone to
Mhm.
bed, when he's asleep. Just
Yeah,
this thing
yeah.
about, then then it could be that I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah,
And why?
yeah,
And just
yeah.
as a discussion, not as a telling off, because, you're both adults. It's not a telling off. Just, I would rather this happened, not when he's there, and then could lead to
Mm,
an argument. You won't want to assert then, because you don't want the energy and the tension of a conflict in that
exactly.
situation.
Yeah.
And I don't think, for me personally, the boundary should be set prior to that.
Okay. Yeah,
Do you know
yeah.
what I mean? But if you want, if you'd agreed that, that was an
Mm,
agreement, because the boundaries, unless you said, if you do, this would be a stronger boundary that you would have possibly done at some point in the world. If you do that again, I'm going to remove him from the table. That's a
right.
punishment. That's a
Yeah.
put. That's a punishment. Do
Yeah.
this, or I'll do that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That's not setting a boundary. That's manipulating somebody to get what
Yeah.
you want. That's not a
Yeah.
clear, the manipulation of, if you do this, I'll do this, is
Mm,
blackmail.
yeah.
It's not an agreed
No.
parental position from two parents. That's, so you might even think, uh, what's more important in that point? Is that more important to keep, for your child not to have that,
Mm,
or is it more important to have, if it's food time, a
yeah.
restful place where digestion can happen and there isn't any
Yeah.
conflict? So it's weighing up. Um,
Totally. Yeah.
it's weighing up those situations of when to use. So is that, if it's a boundary, that would be, the other person would know what your boundary is, because it would
Right.
be, there is no sweet things at breakfast time. That's a rule.
Mm,
That's not a boundary. That's
mm,
like, you don't go through a red light.
yeah. Yeah.
It's a rule.
Yeah.
There's consequences for that, but that's not about, that's not about a boundaries offence, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's something, or I won't let that happen. So
Mm,
if
mhm.
if the person came in, the biscuit, you find it difficult to say no to a biscuit. It's a sweet thing. It's probably an acceptable food.
Yeah.
Most children have sweet things for breakfast. They have done all the way through.
Yeah.
Um, you know, but if it come in with something like a pint of beer,
Mm, mm.
or something that is really, if your child had a peanut allergy and they came in with a load of nuts for
Yeah.
breakfast, that would be, I won't let that happen. Because
Yes.
you would not think, oh, what do I say? Do I say, oh, I don't like you doing that? You would
Mm.
say, not a chance.
I think I've used that with my child actually, where he is going through something, is about to break a toy or is about to break something in the house, and I've had to say, I can't let you do that. I'm not letting you do that.
Yeah.
And that was
And
kind
it's
of
the
a,
same as if it was running out in the middle of the road or
yeah,
jumping in a pond,
yeah,
you know, or a lake. You are not going to let them do that. So that's back to that safety element of boundaries. You know,
yeah,
there are times when there is a clear,
mm,
I'm not going to let that happen, you know. Um, and it depends again on the situation, and it's the things that you, so
mm,
if it was an agreed situation, say with the biscuit,
yeah,
it could be, remember, we're doing it this way. We've agreed this. This is an
yeah,
agreement that we have had, you know, and then again, the
mm,
discussion would happen afterwards, not in front of your child.
mm,
You know,
yeah,
you would have to, unless it was they were
yeah,
giving them a pint of beer, you would definitely say, no, that is not
mm,
allowed. Then that
yeah,
it wouldn't be allowed. And then the
mm,
child would know both of them are agreed on this. This is actually
yeah.
this is a rule. It's not a boundary, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
we have a couple of things like that. Me and my partner, that is the one time where we do that at night time. We discuss little things and then we make an agreement on, okay, we don't do this until this time. So,
yeah,
these have to come first and then this
yeah.
happens. And
And I
that's
think
kind
that
of,
agreement is key. You know, I'd like it this way. What way do you like it? Let's come to a middle thing. You know, that is the same as you would do in a business decision, or it's the same as you do. That's a communication. That's let's do it
yeah.
like this. This is what, you know, it's having a shared aim. This is what we want, a happy, healthy child. And
Mm,
these are things that stop that happening. You
yeah.
know, what could we do to make it better? It's just reflection, isn't it? So
Yeah.
there's those, you know, I'm not comfortable with that. That doesn't
Yeah.
work for me. I won't let that happen. We're doing it this way.
Mm,
Sometimes that's a reminder, but it's consistency. You know, that's that
mm,
consistency. We do things this way. It's building
yeah.
those
Routine.
consistent boundaries. But what
Mm.
do any of them feel like they could work?
Yeah, I do quite like that doesn't work for me. Something's along those lines. This is how this is how we do this. I quite like that one as well because I can use that
Yeah,
with my son as well. So it could be, he if he's deciding to run somewhere that we shouldn't be running, and we can say no, we do, or I could say we do it this way, don't we? We walk.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
there's all those
I'll make
kinds
it
of things.
fun. You know, this is a bit,
Yeah.
or not, however your personality is. But it's,
Mm,
yeah, it's a reminder of putting your own seatbelt on first. You know,
mm,
in the sense of, you know, being kind and clear can go together, and it's ensuring that where you're coming from. Are you coming
yeah.
from a place of threat? You know, and it's
Mm,
no, we are definitely doing it like this, because if I don't do it like this, I'm going to freak out. Do you know what I mean? To a calm place of, we've agreed with this. This is what we've agreed. You know, I don't
yeah.
want this. And it's the same about other people giving snacks,
Yeah.
or something that you know, it's something perhaps to not say in that moment, because
Mm,
then it's the person's already there. The person's already got the stuff. You
that's
know,
it.
if it was an
I think
previously
yeah,
agreed thing, you can say, you know, we agreed that.
yeah,
We agreed on this, and then it's not you. It's we had a shared agreement here, a shared boundary. So boundaries and agreements are different, aren't they? And that's perhaps a way of making it easier for you,
yeah.
um, to hold these. But you can be kind. You can say no. You can care about others, but you have to respect yourself. You know,
It's like,
you can.
physical boundaries as well. I'm just thinking of some of those are the things that you can say about situations. And I think there's a lot with physical boundaries with me as well, because I'm still breastfeeding. I've got to figure out boundaries around that soon because at some point now we'll be at school. Um, and yeah, my body's starting to feel a bit irritated by it now. So that at some point I'm going to have some kind of physical boundary where I
Yeah,
have to honor how I feel and say no or something like that with the physical things. And yeah, so that's
yeah,
another thing I've
yeah.
got to work through.
Yeah, it's I can remember when with mine, because obviously I didn't, yeah, I bottle fed,
Mm,
but it was the same trying to get off you know, a bottle or a dummy in back in the
mm,
days when we had bottles and dummies. You know,
yeah,
trying to, that's like trying to get a child to stop smoking, you know, the addiction to a bottle. and a dummy, that soothing aspect. So you didn't have that physical aspect to it, but the trying to get the child to change a behavior that's very soothing to them, is something that does need a bit of planning. But staying calm and firm is kind of the thing. And other people might not always like your boundaries, and that's okay. You're not responsible for how other people do it. You're responsible for your actions and not their reactions. That's not your responsibility. How somebody else reacts to something, that's their own experience of life and triggers, and that's not related to you. Remember, they're just patterning back to their own patterns, and they're reacting to something probably that happened to them that's not even related to you.
Totally.
So it's worth exploring, and it's worth kind to try. And the key thing that I would think is, because it's related to safety, your body feeling safe when you have those panicky reactions and you have those tense feelings like, I need to be doing this, this is not how I want it to be. Again, just supporting your nervous system before you speak, just having that breath. It could be a second, just slowing down your breath so you've got a little bit of a longer out breath. Feeling your feet on the ground, softening your shoulders, letting yourself feel a bit softer. These small actions help your body feel safer while you do something new. So we've got a little bit of we've not got very much longer left. But I just want to see if there's, before I do my practice for you, reflections that you have for what we've discussed, or how you're feeling with that.
I think a couple of things that you said about my childhood and the way about boundaries there, and how you don't get your boundaries met as a child because you are rushed through everything and people aren't really having time to listen to them. That's really a new idea that struck me, because actually, yes, my parents didn't say no to things all the time, but there was so much rush that I wasn't able to, there was no time for me to speak. That's why I feel like there's a blockage with that. You've helped me to realize that is a massive blockage, because I never had the time to express, really. And I think that's a big thing. And I think for me, what I'm taking from this is to slow down. Like even the little practice we did at the beginning, I think the reason why I love it so much is because I have to make myself slow down to feel it properly. And I think a lot of my decisions are very rushed and panicked. Just the pressures of getting everything done, and I think a lot of it is I need to slow down before I think about what I need to say and what I need to do. So that's what I've taken from this, which I didn't expect.
That's really good. And I think, like you say, our parents were rushed, we were rushed, we lived in a fast pace. We've got, before you came to speak to me today, you've probably done nearly enough a full day's work. You've had to get yourself ready, your child ready, speak to your partner, do a bit in the house, go and do this, go and do that, get everything. We're rushing. We're just rushing all the time. So just to kind of have a last bit before we have a last reflection, I'd just like to, from me, I'd like you just to have permission to pause. And have that as, sometimes we feel like we haven't got time to pause for a few minutes. And I'd like to do this practice. Now, this practice does involve, it's a practice you can do with your child. And I know you haven't got your child with you at the moment, but as we know, thinking about something releases the same chemicals and the same processes. So you could practice it and actually imagine having your child with you, and then I'll send it to you and you can do it on your own. I'm going to just see if I can get some music on with it. If I can't, I can't, because I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. Can you
I
hear
can
that?
hear it. Yeah, I can hear it. Yeah.
You can hear it. Brilliant. So this is
Oh,
from me. I would like you, Sally, to just have my permission to pause. So you can have your eyes open, your eyes closed. It's up to you. I'd like you just to gently pause for a moment. Wherever you are, just stop. Let your shoulders drop. Soften your jaw. And bring attention down to your feet. I'd like you to feel into your toes. Feel your heels. And gently press them into the floor beneath you. Now, just take a slow, deep breath in and a long, steady breath out. And again, just breathe in really slowly. And exhale, letting everything soften just a little more. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to take a breath. You're allowed just to be. You're allowed to take up space. You are as worthy of that as every other soul on this planet. If you were at home, you could take a sip of water. Just a small pause for yourself. And then I want you to bring attention to your little one. And I want you to, if you were in person, I'd get you to look at their hands. But just think about their little hands in your hands. Just really consider them. Think about their smell, their familiar, comforting scent. Feel your heart, their heartbeat next to yours. And just for a moment, let them sink. Breathe in a little slower, a little more peaceful. Just let your hearts and your breath slow down together. Then think about their little tiny hands. They're a little smudgy. They're soft. Got little dimples. The tiny bones are still growing, still forming. Just think about how small they are. This is your baby, your child, who loves you more than anyone else in the world, because you are their world. The same little person who was once completely part of you, held safely inside your body for 9 months. And even now, though you are separate, they still depend on you as deeply. So just stay here for a moment, feeling this everyday miracle, a quiet, powerful bond between mother and baby. And as you sit here, see if you can feel the presence of all the mothers who came before you, stretching back through time, the women who gave of themselves through love and hardship so that you could be here now. You are part of that line. And one day your child may have a child of their own, and you may get to feel that love again in a new way, just like I have. For now, just gently imagine holding your baby, your child. Just rock them slowly and softly in your own natural rhythm. You can rock yourself. And just allow a small smile to come to your face, a mother's smile, and just breathe together. And then you can just start to come back and open your eyes.
oh my gosh, made me cry. Oh, that was
So,
nice.
how did you feel that went?
Oh, I'm in tears.
It's quite emotional, isn't it?
No, it was really no, it was nice. It was I feel like whenever I'm struggling with boundaries and I have this, it doesn't happen every day, it just comes up quite intensely every now and again. And the reconnection in a visual way helps so much. That's exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
Just helps me be a bit gentler, I think, on myself, and yeah, as a mother, I definitely needed that.
Yeah. And
Especially with the
that, you know, that
ancestors.
practice takes a couple of minutes
Mm.
for you and your child every day, reconnecting. It's rhythmic, it's connected, you know, it's grounded in safety and love and belonging. You know, it's quite a small practice. And I think just feeling that bond, you know, that you had when you were, you know, when he was in the womb, you know, and how much it's hard, you know, for both of us, that detachment when you haven't
Yeah,
got that full control, you know, and as a parent, that kind of grows, it's harder and harder to kind of let them go and acknowledge they are separate from you with
yeah.
their own, you know, they're not you, you know. So, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. So,
And it was the ancestor part that, yeah, because that's kind of like the connection and the rooted part of this that I really love, the ancient stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
that just
Of course, we're part of
thinking of my
that.
grandma.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
part of that. You know, your mother, your grandmother's, your mother's, you know, your grandmother's mother, you know, all of those stretching back in history, all those people who've had that love and joy and heartache to get to where we are. So,
and we
anyway,
give
on
so
that,
much.
we'll pause and I'll stop recording.
Mhm. Thank you very much.